By the moons! The creature is glowing! Exclaimed Commander Nara of the Stellar Republic fleet. She stared at the screen, her purple face showing both wonder and fear. The short tentacles on her head twitched nervously as she watched the strange being in the holding chamber. On the screen, floating gently in the middle of the room, was a small creature that looked like a ball of light with delicate, wispy tendrils extending from its body. It pulsed with a soft blue glow that seemed to brighten and dim in a steady rhythm. Nara turned to her science officer, Kelter, who was equally fascinated by the sight. "What do you make of this, Kelter? The creature seems so peaceful, yet it survived the vacuum of space." Kelter, whose job was to study unknown life forms, carefully examined the readings on his control panel. "According to our scans, it's an unidentified species. We found it drifting near that abandoned Terran research station. All evidence suggests it might be some kind of energy-based life form, but—" He hesitated. "But what?" Nara asked, leaning forward. "It just absorbed a full power cell like it was nothing," Kelter finished, his voice rising with concern. "Our strongest shielding materials can barely contain that much energy." Nara's eyes widened. "Are you saying this small, floating light ball could be dangerous?" "I'm saying we should be careful, Commander," Kelter replied, his 4 eyes narrowing as he studied the creature. "This could be an experimental life form the Terrans were developing. Or it could be something entirely natural that we've never encountered before." The creature, unaware or unconcerned with the discussion about it, began to pulse more quickly, emitting a gentle humming sound that somehow felt musical and soothing. "There it goes again with that strange sound," Nara muttered. "What's it doing now?" Kelter hesitated before answering, his voice reflecting both wonder and wariness. "I believe it might be communicating, or perhaps responding to our presence. The frequencies it's emitting align with patterns known to reduce stress in many species." "Communicating?" Nara straightened up, her tentacles now rigid with alarm. "We can't allow it to influence our thoughts. Send for our research team immediately. We need to understand exactly what we're dealing with." The research team arrived promptly, a group of serious-looking scientists led by Dr. Vox, the fleet's most experienced xenobiologist. They approached the creature with extreme caution, setting up various instruments around the holding chamber to measure everything from energy emissions to wavelength patterns. "It's not producing any harmful radiation," reported Dr. Vox after the initial scans. "In fact, its energy signature is remarkably stable and harmonious. The patterns almost resemble the mathematical sequences we find in stellar formations." "Could it be masking its true nature?" Nara asked, still watching the screen intently. "Unlikely," Vox responded, adjusting one of the instruments. "Our sensors would detect fluctuations in its energy matrix. From what I can tell, it's simply existing, perhaps enjoying its new environment." As the scientists continued their analysis, news arrived that a Terran diplomatic vessel had responded to their message about the abandoned research station. The Terrans had sent a representative to assist with the investigation. Among them was Dr. Maya Chen, a calm and knowledgeable scientist specializing in exotic life forms. Dr. Chen was escorted to the command center where Nara and Kelter awaited. "Terran, what is this creature in our holding chamber?" Nara demanded, pointing to the screen where the light being was now spinning slowly, its tendrils creating beautiful patterns of light. Dr. Chen looked at the screen and smiled with recognition. "Oh, you've found a luminar. They're quite rare." "Luminar?" Nara repeated, puzzled. "It consumed an entire power cell and demonstrates behaviors we cannot comprehend." "Explain this being to us." "Luminars are peaceful energy beings from the Cygnus Nebula," Dr. Chen explained. "They're not created or engineered. They're natural life forms that evolved in regions of space with high energy concentrations. The humming you hear is their way of expressing contentment. They're curious travelers, often drawn to sources of energy, but they're completely harmless." Nara and Kelter exchanged skeptical glances. "This contentment," Kelter ventured, "is it some form of defense mechanism?" Dr. Chen shook her head, still smiling. "No, it's simply their way of showing they're happy. Luminars have been observed by Terran explorers for over a century. They're gentle creatures that seem to enjoy accompanying ships on their journeys, almost like the ancient sea creatures of Earth that would follow sailing vessels." Despite Dr. Chen's reassurances, the Stellar Republic officers remained cautious. They observed the Luminar for several more cycles, documenting its behavior meticulously. The creature, meanwhile, seemed to adapt quickly to its new environment, exploring the limits of its chamber with gentle movements and approaching the observation window whenever someone came to look at it. Commander Nara watched these interactions with growing fascination. "Terran," she said to Dr. Chen during one of their many discussions, "how can such a simple creature inspire such complex emotions among my crew? Some fear it, others are drawn to it." Dr. Chen considered the question. "Luminars have that effect on people. They're mysterious, beautiful, and somehow both alien and familiar at once. They remind us of the wonder of the universe, that life can exist in forms we never imagined. But once you understand them, you'll see they're just travelers seeking connection and new experiences." Nara pondered this. Perhaps it is not the creature itself that concerns us, but our lack of understanding. "Exactly," Dr. Chen agreed. "Knowledge replaces fear. Once you get to know the Luminar, you'll see it's simply curious about you, just as you are about it." As days turned into weeks, the crew's initial fear of the Luminar gradually transformed into fascination and then into genuine affection. The scientists even created a special chamber where the energy being could move more freely, delighting in its graceful movements and the beautiful patterns of light it created. One day, as Nara observed the Luminar dancing in its new enclosure, she turned to Dr. Chen with a rare smile. "Perhaps we have much to learn from your people, Doctor. This creature, this Luminar, has taught us more about ourselves than any diplomatic exchange." Dr. Chen nodded, her eyes following the mesmerizing movements of the light being. "That's the thing about new encounters, Commander. They have a way of making us see the universe differently, even if it's just through a new perspective." The Luminar had become an unexpected ambassador, its gentle presence bridging cultural differences between the Stellar Republic and the Terran Alliance. The once feared creature was now a beloved visitor on the ship, and its presence opened the door to deeper understanding between the species. Commander Nara and Science Officer Kelter spent many hours in discussion with Dr. Chen, exploring the subtleties of interspecies communication and the diversity of life forms throughout the galaxy. One day, as Nara watched the Luminar creating intricate patterns of light that seemed almost like writing, she turned to Dr. Chen thoughtfully. "Tell me, Doctor, do all energy beings exhibit such complex behaviors?" Dr. Chen smiled. "Not all of them, but Luminars are particularly fascinating. They communicate through light and energy patterns rather than sound or touch. They're independent yet social, complex yet transparent. They have a way of making us pause and appreciate the beauty of simple existence." Nara nodded, her tentacles relaxed as she focused on the Luminar, which was now pulsing in sync with the ship's ambient lighting. "It is remarkable how a creature so different from us can evoke such fascination and respect." Just then, the ship's communication system activated, and Kelter's voice came through clearly. "Commander, we have an incoming transmission from Fleet Admiral Zorax. The message is flagged as urgent." Nara straightened her posture. "Route it to the command center immediately." The holographic image of Fleet Admiral Zorax appeared, his formal bearing and intricate uniform signaling his high rank. "Commander Nara, our sensors have detected unusual energy readings from your vessel. Reports mention an unknown entity aboard. Explain this situation." Nara maintained a professional demeanor, her tentacles perfectly still. "Admiral, the entity in question is an energy-based life form known as a Luminar. It poses no threat to our crew or systems. In fact, it has proven quite valuable in fostering understanding between our people and the Terrans." Zorax's expression remained stern. "Valuable, you say? This is most unusual. Our protocols regarding unknown life forms are quite strict. Is it true that it absorbed a full power cell?" "Yes, Admiral," Nara admitted. "But we've learned this is simply how it sustains itself. The Terran scientist assures us this behavior is normal and poses no danger." Zorax considered this information carefully. "Very well, Commander. We will trust your assessment for now. However, I expect detailed reports on this creature. The Fleet Science Division is quite interested in its properties and potential applications." Nara bowed her head respectfully. "Of course, Admiral. We will provide comprehensive documentation." When the transmission ended, Nara turned to Dr. Chen with a determined expression. It seems your Luminar has caught the attention of our leadership. We must ensure that its nature and peaceful intentions are properly understood. Dr. Chen nodded. I understand, Commander. I'll help in any way I can. In the days that followed, the Luminar continued to charm the crew. It had developed a particular fondness for the engineering section, where the gentle hum of the ship's power systems seemed to resonate with its own energy patterns. Crew members, initially wary, now competed for the opportunity to observe it during their off-duty hours. One evening, as the ship passed through a particularly beautiful stellar cluster, Nara invited Dr. Chen to join her in the observation dome. The Luminar, sensing something special, followed them, floating freely thanks to a portable containment field that had been designed for its comfort. Dr. Chen, Nara began as they gazed at the spectacular view of swirling nebulas and distant stars, I must admit I was skeptical at first, but the Luminar has become an important part of our mission. It has shown us that we needn't fear the unknown simply because it is different. Dr. Chen smiled, watching as the Luminar pulsed with excitement at the stellar vista. I'm glad to hear that, Commander. These kinds of encounters are what build bridges between different species. As they admired the stars together, the ship's alert system suddenly activated. Kelter's urgent voice came through the communication system. Commander! We're detecting a massive energy disturbance ahead. It's like nothing we've encountered before. Nara and Dr. Chen rushed to the bridge, the Luminar floating rapidly alongside them. The main view screen showed a swirling vortex of energy that had suddenly appeared in their flight path, its colors shifting ominously. What is it? Nara demanded, her tentacles twitching with alarm. Kelter's fingers moved swiftly over the controls. It appears to be some kind of space-time anomaly. It's generating gravitational waves that are pulling us toward it. I'm attempting evasive maneuvers, but our engines are struggling against the pull. The ship shuddered as it fought against the anomaly's gravitational force. The Luminar, sensing the danger, began to pulse rapidly, its light growing more intense. Can we escape it? Dr. Chen asked, her voice steady despite the growing tension. We're trying to reroute power to the engines, Kelter replied, his 4 eyes focused on the controls. But the anomaly is interfering with our systems. As the crew worked frantically to save the ship, the Luminar suddenly broke free from its containment field. Before anyone could react, it flew directly toward the main control console. Stop it! Nara called out, but it was too late. The Luminar had already reached the console and was merging with the ship systems, its light spreading through the circuitry like flowing water. To everyone's surprise, the ship's systems began to stabilize. The Luminar's energy seemed to be reinforcing the ship's power grid, allowing it to resist the anomaly's pull more effectively. What's happening? Nara asked, watching in amazement as the Luminar's light pulsed through the ship's controls. Dr. Chen stared in wonder. It's helping us. Somehow, it's strengthening our systems. With the Luminar integrated into the ship systems, Kelter found that the controls responded more readily. The ship began to move away from the anomaly, slowly at first, then with increasing speed as the Luminar's energy counteracted the gravitational pull. It's working! Kelter exclaimed. We're breaking free! The ship gave one final shudder as it escaped the anomaly's influence, the danger passing as quickly as it had appeared. The bridge fell silent, the only sound the soft hum of the ship's systems and the gentle pulsing of the Luminar as it detached itself from the console and floated back to Dr. Chen's side. Nara turned to Dr. Chen, her expression one of profound respect. Doctor, it seems your Luminar is more than just a fascinating life form. It may very well be a guardian of sorts. Dr. Chen, equally amazed, nodded slowly. It appears so, Commander. It appears so. As the crew tried to understand what had just happened, the Luminar resumed its peaceful floating, its mission accomplished. The Stellar Republic officers had feared it as potentially dangerous, but now they saw it as something far more extraordinary, a friend and protector in the vast, unpredictable expanse of space. The anomaly's effects had left everyone both shaken and amazed. The Luminar had performed an incredible feat, and the officers were eager to understand how such a seemingly simple creature could save their ship. We must investigate this further, Kelter said, his eyes fixed on the Luminar, which had returned to its normal, gentle pulsing. This being possesses abilities we never imagined. Nara nodded, still processing the miraculous turn of events. Agreed. Dr. Chen, can you provide any insight into what we just witnessed? Have Terrans documented such protective behavior in Luminars before? Dr. Chen shook her head, equally surprised. Not to my knowledge. We've observed Luminars interacting with ships and technology before, but never in such a direct, purposeful way. This is as unexpected to me as it is to you. Nara considered this new information. Perhaps there is something about our ship or the anomaly itself that triggered this protective response. We must study both the Luminar and the anomaly more thoroughly. The Stellar Republic scientists, with Dr. Chen's cooperation, began a comprehensive study of the Luminar. They analyzed its energy patterns, response to various stimuli, and its apparent ability to interface with the ship systems. Despite their efforts, they found nothing that could fully explain the creature's extraordinary intervention. Meanwhile, the ship maintained a safe distance from where the anomaly had appeared, monitoring the area for any signs of its return. The crew continued their duties with a new sense of wonder and respect for their luminous companion. The Luminar had become a symbol of hope and mystery, inspiring the officers to approach the unknown with curiosity rather than fear. Its unexpected actions had demonstrated that even in the coldness of space, connection and protection could come from the most surprising sources. One day, as the scientists were conducting another round of gentle tests, the Luminar began to behave strangely. It pulsed with increasing intensity, its tendrils extending and contracting rapidly. Dr. Chen watched with concern. Something's agitating it. Nara, observing from the bridge, frowned. What could it be? The anomaly hasn't shown any signs of reappearing. As if answering her question, the ship's sensors suddenly detected a surge of energy similar to what had preceded the anomaly's first appearance. Commander! Kelter called out, quickly analyzing the readings. The anomaly is forming again, but this time it's much larger. We need to move to a safer distance immediately. Before they could act, the Luminar darted out of the research lab and headed straight for the bridge. The crew watched in astonishment as it positioned itself near the navigation controls, its light pulsing in what now seemed like a deliberate pattern. It's trying to tell us something, Dr. Chen said, watching the Luminar's movements carefully. Nara made a quick decision. Follow its lead. It saved us before. Perhaps it knows something we don't. Kelter hesitated only briefly before adjusting the ship's course according to the patterns the Luminar was creating with its light. The creature continued to pulse, each flash seemingly directing a specific adjustment to their path. The ship shuddered as the anomaly began to form behind them, but the Luminar's guidance was leading them away from the danger along a path that the ship's computers hadn't calculated. It's working, Kelter reported, his voice filled with amazement. We're moving away from the anomaly's formation point along a trajectory that our navigation systems wouldn't have chosen. The Luminar continued its direction until the ship was at a safe distance, its light gradually returning to its normal, gentle pulsing once the danger had passed. Nara approached the floating being, her tentacles extended in a gesture of respect. Thank you, she said simply, knowing that even if the creature couldn't understand her words, it might sense her gratitude. The Luminar brightened briefly, as if acknowledging her thanks. Later, when the excitement had subsided, Nara met with Dr. Chen and Kelter to discuss the extraordinary events. Dr. Chen, Nara began, it seems your Luminar has saved us twice now. How can we explain this? Dr. Chen considered the question carefully. I've been reviewing our data, and I've noticed something interesting. The energy patterns of the anomaly and the Luminar share certain similarities, not in composition, but in frequency. It's possible that the Luminar can sense these anomalies in a way our instruments cannot. Kelter, who had been analyzing the data as well, added, Commander, there's something else. When the Luminar integrated with our systems, it didn't just provide additional power, it actually optimized our navigation algorithms. It's as if it understood both the anomaly and our technology on a fundamental level. Nara took in this information thoughtfully. Could it be that the Luminar is not just a simple energy being, but a more advanced life form than we initially believed? One that has evolved to navigate these kinds of space-time disturbances? It's possible, Dr. Chen agreed. Luminars evolved in regions of space with unusual energy patterns. Perhaps they've developed an innate ability to sense and respond to these anomalies as a survival mechanism. Nara made a decision. We will document everything we've learned and share our findings with both the Stellar Republic and the Terran Alliance. The Luminar has shown us that there is much we don't understand about the universe, and that sometimes the most unexpected companions can be our greatest assets. Over the following weeks, the crew continued to study both the anomaly and the Luminar. They discovered that while the Luminar didn't possess what they would consider intelligence in the conventional sense, its awareness and responsiveness to energy patterns was highly evolved. Its presence on the ship was indeed a fortunate coincidence, a perfect alignment of circumstances that had brought together a unique life form and a crew receptive enough to trust it. The Luminar, content with its role as the ship's unofficial guardian, continued to explore and interact with the crew. It had become a beloved symbol of the unexpected wonders that space exploration could bring, a reminder that connections could form across the boundaries of biology, physics, and culture. As the Stellar Republic ship prepared to return to its home base, the crew knew they carried with them a story that would be told for generations. The Luminar, once feared as potentially dangerous, had become a hero and a friend. Its tale would remind explorers throughout the galaxy that sometimes the most beautiful discoveries come in the form of a simple ball of light, pulsing gently with the rhythm of the stars.